This is our review of the BMW 6 Series GT. Let's go! In the front we can see a big BMW double kidney, also with this, let's say, step silhouette. If you look at it from this perspective, also adaptive. This inside part only opens when the airflow is needed. But meanwhile we know with the 7 Series and the X7 that this kidney can even be bigger. LED is standard as for the headlamps, optional and with this adaptive LED as we have it here, also with a nice LED daytime running light signature. 5'09", 16'7" or 200 inches is the length of the BMW 6 Series Gran Turismo, and that's very interesting because indeed it is somewhat like a hybrid between the 5 and the 7 Series. The front axle is from the 5 Series. The rear axle is from the 7 Series. By the way, optional, there's an adaptive air suspension. Well, we have it here today, but it's not really necessary. The base suspension will also do just fine. I'll also tell you later more about that in the driving part. And now look at the rear here. We got the 640i for you today. That's a 6-cylinder petrol engine. Soon more when we take a look under the hood. The GT badge on the other side, and quite sensual how the tail lamps are designed right here, also in a 3-dimensional shape. And this is also a typical GT rear. It has this small flat area right here. Luckily we have hydraulic struts here today, and this one is the 640i, 3-liter 6-cylinder, 340 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and just above 5 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. A smaller 2-liter 4-cylinder as a 630i is also available with 258 horsepower. This vehicle of course fits a little bit better with the 3-liter 6-cylinder. Then diesels, also 2-liter 4-cylinder 620d, 190 horsepower. And then the 3-liter 6-cylinder diesels, 630D as with 265 horsepower, and the 640D with 320 horsepower. And all have the 8-speed automatic converter gearbox. And autonomous emergency brake, by the way, also standard. More assistance systems optional, as we explain later. So let's say my garage is too narrow for the cars, and I can activate this RC parking function. And now I can actually move the car forward. See here, the car is now moving forward. Goodbye, car. Hey, wait a minute, wait for me, wait for me. The exterior color is called Jatoba. This one is a fitting dark wood inlet to it in a shiny style. Of course, this one the rather conservative layout. Then here soft touch sensor tag, leatherette at the inside of the doors. That's well done. Also some space for bigger bottles at the inside of the doors. This one here, the luxury line. And sadly, they do not offer any alternatives to animal skin at the moment for the 6 Series. Getting inside, you see that the door opens quite wide, so it's easy to get in right here. It's rather a classic sedan seating position, so you don't sit, much higher or something. When you turn on the ignition, then here we go. Let's see. There we go. So then the steering wheel also comes down again. This is also one of the comfort features. And it is also adjustable here in general. Here that comes up again. height and also in reach. Interior overview with a soft touch dashboard right there. LED ambient lighting is below that. Then this screen here is somewhat attached. It's also with touch, but also with this classic jog and pressing knob. So both is actually possible. The menu structure is sometimes a little bit complicated. Soon a little bit more details to that. Then you still have a CD changer and some hotkeys. Classic climate units, so to say, where you can use this knob, and then in this screen you can control, for example, the vents and also the seat heating, and you see digitally what's happening. So quite fancy. In the lower part you have this cover again. You can slide it open and then have the smartphone connection with a cable, but also with an inductive charging pad below that, cup holders. Then you have this shifting lever, automatic shifting lever next to this knob for controlling the infotainment system while driving, and also the driving mode selector, sport and so on. Electric handbrake, and this armrest here, you can slide it open, and then you have some more space underneath and also another USB supply. Steering wheel is actually quite large. The heated steering function is in the middle part here when you have that optionally. This one here does not have the Hey BMW voice activation yet. That came after this model was released. There is some voice input here, but it's not a real natural function, so to say. Left side then for the cruise control, also adaptive cruise control settings. And there are somewhat analog instruments here. It's a mix between analog and digital. Let's take a look at that. And here we go. When we turn on the engine, you can see it comes to life. And there it is. On the camera, it's really hard always to pick it up. Speed and the loud speed, and also when you have a GPS route activated, and you also see some commands there. But in reality, with your own eyes, you can see it very well, and it's also very crisp and a great addition. And here we go with the infotainment screen. Let's check out the GPS map. It's actually quite clear and crisp to read. You can see where everything is, and also zoom. Here, there's this pinch and zoom, works pretty well. Touch function, for example, to use it while stationary. Oh, and by the way, this vehicle is also equipped with soft close. The rear here again with the frameless doors, then also nice GT logo here at the inside, and you can already see you have a lot of room because this car is also longer than the 5 Series, also with the electric. You can even see here the LED ambient lighting a little bit at the inside of the doors for the rear end. Wow, this is a big difference here to the 5 Series, and indeed you can rather compare this legroom here with the 7 Series. I have the feeling that if you remember the same length for the 7 Series short wheelbase and the 6 Series here, just the 7 Series long wheelbase, standard one long wheelbase in the US, is longer than this one. I have the feeling that this could even be a little bit more than the 7 Series short wheelbase. Very interesting. So, and whereas the liter figure is 610 to 1,800 liters overall when I flip the seats, the measurements here is about 1 meter 10 in length, and in width right here it's just about 1 meter. And if you take this wheel arches in the very front together with it, then it's even more than 120. It's about 130, but just in this very front area here. This rear part here, you can flip it up and have some additional storage underneath. And you see here, it even has a hydraulic gas strut. That is of course cool quality here in detail. The height right here to the cover is about 40 centimeters. You see the limitation in height is right there in the front when it raises a little bit. But it's still way more practical than a sedan. The Estate, the Touring, 5 Series Touring for example, would just be higher in this case here if you need that additional height. And then you can also easily flip the seats from here and also at the other side. There we go. And then you have the full loading capacity. Yeah, so the car is really a great motorway vehicle. It gives you so much confidence and calmness on the road. I really like that. And the funny thing is really that you don't feel too much of a difference then between those big BMWs. Just saved my setting here, so I was taking the seat a little bit more back. It's really, in the rear where you feel a little bit more difference. So that's, as I said initially, also one of the reasons I got to test this car once more again for myself. So what about some motorway acceleration? If I'm going from 80 kilometers to 100, I can also go to the sports mode. Now we're now at 75 kilometers, even better. Let's go. And that's already it. Wow, 108 already. Also interesting that in the head-up display, this number then, so the speed jumps to a red as soon as I exceed the speed. So it's like 100 is allowed here, and 100 is written in white. And as soon as I go to 101, then it's written in red. It's like, Thomas, evil Thomas, don't do that. Don't exceed the speed. Well, I think it's pretty helpful, yeah. So now I'm still in the sport mode because that one also stiffens up the suspension a little bit. Let's see here now in this roundabout. I have to lead this one past. Now we can accelerate out again. See how far I have to turn the steering wheel. Yeah, it doesn't react that sporty in the corners. This is a long vehicle, long wheelbase, a little bit bulky. Engine is really nicely tuned in. The steering wheel is quite fine, you know, as soon as you leave this, like let's say -3 to +3 area. But here you feel that the 5 Series with a little bit shorter dimension is actually more suitable as for an agile driving feeling. This one here somewhat feels heavy. I mean, considering, you know, there's still good driving dynamics here. Basically all BMWs have that. But in the 5 Series, a little bit more driving fun then, if you compare it on that scale. Here also with a little slalom. That is very well done. That feels actually quite good. That's nice. And now with the brakes. Yeah, you have a good feeling in the brakes, you know where the braking point is, and can make it also degressive. You know, braking usually should go all not progressive, like not increasing, but you should like hammer it and then release it slightly if you see it. You don't have to brake that fast, at least in emergency situations. And now to our conclusion for today with the BMW 6 Series Gran Turismo. Very interesting vehicle. Exterior-wise from the front, not so different from 5 of 7 Series. Well, now from the 7 Series facelift, because it has this huge double kidney. This one here is already quite big. Of course, this coupe-shaped side silhouette makes this one here quite special with this fast-pack rear. So this is indeed something between a sedan and an estate, if you don't want the estate look, but still want the rear a little bit more practical. As this car is also longer than the 5 Series, especially more room for the rear compartment if you have passengers there. And especially if you pick one with the optional panoramic roof. Really cool for the rear passengers to have this great view through the panoramic roof. And to me, was somehow an even cooler experience than in the 7 Series. Although the 7 Series, of course, also offers this, you know, luxury features here and there and so on. Interior build quality is also really good. The newer BMWs also set, you know, something even on top of that, but this one here already quite good. They lack some alternative seating materials, especially in this one here. BMW in general does offer it, but not here in the 6 Series. And driving-wise, very confident, very comfortable as we used to it. And since it has a quite long wheelbase here too, very calm on the motorway, but not that agile. For BMW in general, it's a quite long, big and heavy car. You do feel that for sure. Driving-wise, this 6-cylinder petrol engine is, you know, good recommendation. Also some decent consumption. Told you the figures earlier in the driving part. So overall, a very interesting vehicle. Not maybe for all European cities, but then again, if you seek something a little bit more practical than a sedan and still want a special look, then it might be something. What do you think about this concept? Tell me in the comments.